Alright guys, we're just going to do a little bit of practice working these problems. I would suggest you get some scratch paper to be able to work these problems, because I think what you need to do is write the problem down, try and work it out, and then maybe check your answer, or if you get stuck, then be able to watch the video for that. So, we've got multiple things going on here. In this situation, we are basically looking at the product rule. The product rule and the quotient rule. We're just multiplying and dividing. Okay? So I would suggest you get your little exponent rule sheet out and look at that. So we know that when we are using the product rule, when we're multiplying, which this little thing means multiply, we multiply the numbers. So 4 times 2 is going to give me 8. And then we look at the variables. And I'm going to look at the ones that are the same. U and U. This has a 2. This has a 2. I'm going to add those together. So I'm going to get U. 2 plus 2 is 4. I have a V here. V squared. There's no other V. So that just gets tagged along. We still multiply that out. Divided by, there's nothing to simplify in the denominator. 3VU squared. Now, 8 divided by 3 cannot be simplified anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and write 8 thirds. And now we're going to go to war. And we're going to see U and U. I'm using, even though they're opposite of each other, I'm still going to have them be able to cancel each other out. So I've got 4 U's up here, 2 U's down here. Who's going to win this war? The 4 up here. How many are going to be left? 2. Now the V's are going to go. I've got 2 V's here, a V here. It's a 1-to-1 battle. And who's going to be left? The V up in the numerator. And now you need to notice there is not one letter in the numerator and the denominator. It's got to be either in the numerator or the denominator. If I had a U or a V down here, I have not done my job by completely simplifying. So there you go. Let's do this one here. So now I've got a negative exponent. I know this line is the battleground. That negative exponent, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. That negative exponent is a traitor, and he is in the wrong place. He needs to be on the other side. Okay? So I'm going to first simplify my denominator. And I'm going to multiply my 2 times my 2 and get 4. Then I'm going to look at my x's. Remember, I'm adding the exponents. So x squared, x to the 3rd, I'm going to be left with x to the 5th. Now y squared and y to the 0. I'm going to add them. I'm not multiplying them, so I'm going to be left with y squared. Now, you should be able to look at this and say that's 1, and it kind of just goes away because it's 1. But if you don't see that, then you should be able to say, okay, I'm going to add 2 plus 1 and get, or I'm sorry, 2 plus 0 and get 2. Okay? Now, I have not done anything with this negative 2 right here. This negative 2 needs to go into the denominator. And so I'm going to go ahead and write him y squared. And when he gets in that denominator, he's happy to be back with his people. He was a traitor on the other side. He's moved down to where he belongs. So he goes down to the bottom. I've got 4x to the 4th left. Now I kind of need to go to battle a little bit. 4 divided by 4, those are actually going to evenly cancel out. They become 1. They don't become 0, they become 1. Now I've got x to the 4th and x to the 5th. Who's going to win this battle? Well, I believe x to the 5th is going to come out 1 ahead. And now I've got these guys side by side. I'm multiplying those. Y squared times y squared. I'm going to add those exponents and get y to the 4th. Now notice, though, I've got nothing on the top. I've got this line, and I've got nothing on the top. What goes on the top is we have simplified this out to be 1 on the top. So this is a fraction where 1 is in the numerator. All right, let's move down and do number 6. Well, there's a lot of 2's there. Let's do number 8. All right, so same type of thing, except for we've got a lot of traders in this situation. We've got traders in the top. We've got traders in the bottom. We've got to get everybody where they belong. We've got to get people on the right side. So the 2, you're good. This x to the 3rd power, he's good. This x to the -3 needs to flip to the bottom because he's in the numerator and he's got this negative. He needs to come down here to the bottom. This y to the -2, he needs a trader. He needs to come down to the bottom. So I've completely dealt with my numerator. I've dealt with this at my denominator, but I'm still left with the y and the -4 in my denominator. He's unhappy. He's a trader. He needs to move up. Y to the 4th power. Now I have all positive exponents. So now that everyone's happy, we're going to go to battle. All right? So I've got 2. I do not have a number down here, so the 2 is going to stay in the numerator. I don't have an x up here, but I've got 2 x's being multiplied by each other down here. So I'm going to have x. I'm going to add 3 plus 3 based on the product rule and get x to the 6th. And these y's, they're going to go to battle. Y to the 4th, y squared. I'm going to be left with y squared in the numerator. And there you have it. Okay? I'll do one more and hopefully you're getting this. Here is a shot of, I'm going to just back out a little bit, and here are some problems you can certainly work for practice. These would be great problems for you to work for practice. Okay? Now, this one here looks super complicated. We'll work these 2 problems right here. These look pretty complicated. But they're not that bad, to be honest with you. So I'm going to do this, and I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, this is to the -2. All of that, I'm going to start from the outside and work inwards. So automatically I know to get rid of this negative, I need to flip this whole thing upside down. So the a is going to go on top. And this mess, 2a squared b to the 3rd, all raised to the 0 power, is going to go on the bottom. So now I've gotten rid of the negative, but I still need to have now the 2's happy. Everyone's on the right side. Everyone's back where they belong. So then the 2 gets distributed out. So I get a squared divided by 2a squared b cubed. And I'm going to have to multiply 2 times 0, right? Because that's our power rule. You multiply this exponent times this exponent. 2 times 0 is going to give me 0. And now we get to use the 0 property. Anything raised to the 0 power is going to be 1. That whole mess turns to be 1. And I'm left with a squared. And we know that a squared over 1 is a squared. Yay! Done. Okay. Now, let's do this one here. This one's kind of complicated. So number 19 here, here's some more problems if you want to do. I'm not going to do all these, but if you want to do them, you certainly can and bring them to me, and we can check them for extra practice if you want. But, so this one, I've got my power rule. The 3 has to go to the 2 as well as this negative 3. So 2 raised to the 3rd power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So I get 8n to the negative. I'm going to multiply those two, negative 9, times m to the 0 power is 1. So I can put 1 times n to the negative 2. So now I've got to get these unhappy negative exponents flipped where they belong. The 8 is fine. He can stay in the numerator. The n to the 9th needs to go into the denominator to be happy, so that becomes a positive 9. I'm going to erase that because I don't like that. But that is it changes when you flip it. It's like, oh good, I'm right where I need to be. I'm back where I should be. Then the 1, I can multiply that by 1. I don't have to do that because we know anything multiplied by 1 is just going to be whatever it is. N to the negative 2. N to the 2nd power. When I flip it upside down, it becomes positive. So now I'm left with 8 over, I combine those two together and get n. 9 plus 2 is 11. Alright, hopefully that helps. I will have a good weekend. See you guys on your Tuesday.